first ever YouTube video. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna jump right into it. Today I want to talk about getting started mining, the things you'll need. This is gonna be a quick video, maybe 10-15 minutes. Just want to go over just a list of things that you're gonna need to get started mining. So first and foremost, you're gonna need a frame. And guys, I'm gonna have links to the description, in the description, where you can find all these things, all these parts at the best prices where I buy my stuff. None of them are affiliate links or anything like that. I'm just gonna share the links that I use to purchase the stuff myself. So here you have what to mine. This is a useful tool when buying GPUs. Let's go over GPUs first, because it's the primary thing you need to mine. So me personally, I started my journey with 4GB GPUs. They have a cheaper entry, as you can see here on eBay. You can find a ton of great bargain bid opportunities to get some GPUs. Let's check one of my favorites to buy. $580, 4GB. Now, this is a cheaper entry point as far as I'm concerned. I buy 580, RX 580s, RX 570s. If I'm going to do NVIDIA, I'm going to go with a 1060, a 1070, only because it's a cheaper entry. They're still profitable. I get my return on investment faster. I can mine coins that have a small market cap, that have great potential, that eventually I think you're going to get a greater return on investment off of these 4GB cards. If you start mining and holding during these bear markets, I'm sure you can ask many miners that have done it, but it's just an easier way to get started, especially for somebody that's not an expert miner, doesn't want to invest a whole lot, just wants to test the waters. I'd definitely go with a 4GB card. The ones you're looking at are 8GB right now, but if you can find some 4GB, let me do a better. Let's see what comes up now. RX 570, 4GB, 265. That's to me great return on investment. Let's stick it in here and see what you would get. So this website here, you would put your GPU, how many of them, what you pay per kilowatt hour minus 10 cents. It's already preloaded, and calculate. And this will give you the profitability of that particular GPU. So as you can see, if you're mining Raven coin, you're going to make 151 a day with that GPU net, 190 total revenue, and ERG 175, 149. Guys, I'm going to make a video in the future going over all these coins, which would be the best to mine, with what hardware, and just kind of an overall view of this website. But for now, I'm just showing you for the purposes of buying a GPU. You can simply pick your model number, how many units, enter your cost per kilowatt hour, and hit calculate, and it'll give you your profitability. So for example, if you wanted to build a 6-card rig of 570s, whoops, 16, you hit 6, and bow, you make $9.08 a day, a net $11.38 total revenue. Okay, so that's a quick overview of how I buy my GPUs. No matter what model, you can always plug it in here, and if it's not here, there are other resources, guys. Just look up GPU info, and there's tons of sites that you can plug in. Here's another one, betterhash.net, where you can plug your GPU in, and it gives you an idea of how much that GPU makes per day. Okay, aside from GPUs, you're going to need a frame. You can build a custom frame, or you can buy a pre-built frame. Right now, prices for frames are pretty high. Sorry guys, I'm in a rush here to get this video as condensed as possible, so you guys don't have to watch a 45-minute video. The purpose of this channel is to give you as much value as possible. and I hope you get a ton of value. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and look for our future videos. As the channel's in its infancy, to say the least, and we appreciate the support. So here's some mining rig frames. You got to decide how many GPUs you're going to go with. So you can get anywhere from 6, 4, 12 GPU mining rig frames. The style is up to you. I would recommend definitely leaving enough room between the motherboard and the GPUs for your riser wires and all the cabling, because it's a lot of cables and it can become messy in these tight spots like this. I prefer an open style rig like this or like this. This is a 12 card rig, but they come in 6, where you have some height down below where you can actually do some cable management. And we'll talk about cable management in future videos as well. So aside from frame, there's another option is building a custom frame. I'll show you a video of my custom frame that I built. It took me about 30 minutes. I'll also share the link where I learned how to build that custom frame below. Alright, so we did GPUs, we went through frames. Now motherboards. There's many different ways you can do this. So motherboard, you can buy a new motherboard. The important part is here, you want to make sure that it has enough PCIe slots for as many cards as you are going to mine with. So for example, if you have a 3 PCIe slot motherboard like this MSI here, you can only plug in 3 PCIe risers. So that gives you 3 graphic cards to mine with. You can get up to 12. They make mining motherboards with up to 25 PCIe lanes, and you can slap 25 cards on those. But for a mining board like this, you don't have to totally be discouraged. If you can get a good deal on a mining board like this, you can also find, on a motherboard like this, you can find adapters like this one here, 4-to-1 PCIe adapter. And with this adapter, you plug it into one of the PCIe slots on the motherboard, and it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 more ports. So it expands. That one would become a 6-port motherboard with that adapter. Now, for every motherboard needs a processor. For mining purposes, you can go with an Intel Celeron processor if you have an Intel board, or the cheapest AMD processor you can get. I have a mining rig with an FX processor on it. It's currently not in use, but I was using it up to last month, and it still functions just like all the other ones. Mining is not that taxing on your CPU, unless you are CPU mining, of course. In that case, the processor is very important. So you just got to make sure that it is for the socket, the same socket that your motherboard is. So if your motherboard is an LGA 1151, you want to get an Intel Celeron at least, with the same LGA 1151 socket. Let's take a look here. Processor. All right, so you can get these new for about 75, 60 bucks. Amazon also has them. I believe that's where I got mine. I paid like 69 bucks for mine. But you're gonna need a processor for sure. Another item you're gonna need is the RAM. Depending on your motherboard, most newer motherboards are DDR4 RAM. You're going to need at least 8 GB of DDR4 RAM. That's going to run you about 30 bucks, 20 bucks, maybe even 40 bucks, depending where you buy it. Aside from that, you're going to need a power supply. Now, what's important about the power supply is you want to make sure that your power supply has enough power to power all the cards that you want to mine with. So if you're gonna mine with 6 cards. Let's jump back on what to mine. Let's say you're gonna mine with those 6 570s. You hit calculate here, and it's gonna tell you here. Let's say you're mining Raven coin. It's gonna take 960 watts. When I overclock, I come way under what this says, typically by 200. But either way, when you're setting up a mining rig, you want to overshoot your power supply. So if you are running 700 watts, you want to have at least 1,000 watt power supply, 850 minimum. But I'd like to be safe and leave 200 to 300 watts of wiggle room. It also allows for your power supply to not run at 100% capacity and extends the life of your power supply. Another thing that you're going to need, USB drive. This is for your operating system or an SSD. I would recommend at least 16 gigabytes of USB drive. If you're gonna use Hive OS, we'll go over operating systems in another video and the differences between. I personally use Hive OS because you can remotely monitor it. If you're gonna use Windows, you're definitely gonna need an SSD. I would use at least 64 gigabytes. I believe 120 would be ideal. I'm not sure, I would have to look, but I believe the minimum requirement is either 64 gigabytes or 120. If you're going to use Windows, make sure you take a look. I'll definitely let you guys know when I find, after I take a matter of fact, let's take a look now. Windows 10 minimum drive requirement, 32 gigabytes. Okay, so I was wrong. So at least a 32 gigabyte SSD to run Windows. Now, another thing that you're going to need is PCIe risers. This is the most finicky part of the build. These go bad so more often and are responsible for more rig crashes than any other reason. So I would definitely get some quality PCIe risers. They're not too expensive, but you're going to spend about 40 to 75 bucks depending on the quality. And they come in a variety of styles. You can have them with the 6-pin PCIe power cable in the front. Some of them come with a SATA here. Me personally, I prefer to use PCIe power to power my PCIe risers, just because SATA can, you know, it's not a very secure plug. It shifts and can, you know, cause a fire, damage. I've seen many burnt connections using SATA and PCIe risers, so I just stay away from them. I've had nothing but success with PCIe power cables. So your risers are what's going to go, your graphic card plugs into this, and a USB plugs into this end, and the other end plugs into your PCIe slot on your motherboard. This will allow you to mount your GPUs on the frame, and it'll give you room below to work and cable manage. Okay, and another item you'll need is an 8-pin to dual 8-pin. PCIe splitter. So what you want is the 8-pin to the dual 6+2 pin. That second pin here, that pin that's attached here, these two pins are ground cables. They come on and off, but typically your splitters are going to be an 8-pin to a dual 6+2 pin. This will allow you to split the cable so that one end can power your PCIe riser and the other end can power your GPU. Or some GPUs require two 8-pins on the top, and then you'll need another wire to power another PCIe power cable to power your PCIe riser. Okay guys, a couple of other things. I have some fans mounted depending on what style rig you want. I'll talk about frames and different ways to build your rig in a little while here, but 120 millimeter fans. You're gonna need at least 4 of these if you're gonna run a 6-card rig and build it, or buy one of these freestanding aluminum racks, you know, the traditional 6 inline GPU racks. This is gonna pull air out of the middle channels of the GPUs, and it'll definitely keep the air flowing in between the GPUs and keep everything cool. You don't want that stagnant heat just building up with all those cables and electrical connections there. So I definitely recommend at least four 120 millimeter PC fans. If you want to get LED, that's on you. If you want to look fancy, that's on you. You can spend anywhere from $20 to $100. That's totally on you. Another tip, you're gonna need an iFixit kit. These things come in handy when you're screwing and unscrewing GPUs, repairing, scraping thermal paste off, scraping thermal pads off. Get yourself one of these kits. I recommend something that has this little scraper here, maybe like these picks, a couple of these picks, and screwdriver heads. You're gonna need these when working on electronic components and things like that. But most likely you're just gonna need those. Most of the time you're just gonna need those micro Phillips and flathead screwdrivers. Another thing, and this is a tip, you don't need it, but I recommend cable management. Get yourself some straps so that you can keep all your cables tidy. I recommend Velcro, something like this. Works great for me. Alright guys, I'm going to include, like I said, a list of all the stuff in the description. I'm going to head over to my miner. I'm going to show you guys the 2 setups that I have. I'll be right back. Hey guys, so here's my setup. I got this rack here at Home Depot. I tied these up here with zip ties. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey man, get the GPU hangers. But honestly guys, I paid 10 cents for these zip ties. For now, like I said, I'm trying to ROI. That's what it's about right now. I have my motherboard here set up. This is the motherboard. I bought this as a combo for about 150 bucks. That's a Ryzen 5 2600, 8 gigabytes of RAM. This one is running Hive on a flash drive. Power supply to operate the motherboard, server power supply. These are cheaper but loud. I'm gonna make a video covering the difference between server power supplies and ATX power supplies, modular, non-modular, but that's for a future video. But for now, just wanted to show you my setup. Here I have 5 Aorus RX 570s. I'm awaiting the 6th one. I should have it within a couple of days. These are the 120 millimeter fans that I spoke about. These pull air through, so it'll keep the air constantly flowing through. As you can see here, I have a fan stop light on. That doesn't mean that the fan stopped, it just means that it's running at 100% right now. It'll go down. It's just keeping the temperature at 65. That may be a sign of having to replace thermal pads. That'll also be a video. I'll teach you guys how to do that in one of my upcoming videos. But this is the frame that I built. Essentially aluminum angle. I got about 4 or 5 pieces of 5-foot aluminum angle, and you just cut it to length. I'll include the instructional video in the link. If you guys want to build your own custom frame, you're just gonna need maybe a a piece or two of wood, and a few pieces of aluminum angle. Guys, these are all the parts you're gonna need. It's already pre-assembled. I plan on making a video for you guys of the assembly process. But as you can see, cable management is important. That's why I recommend those cable ties. It keeps everything off of the motherboard and kind of neat. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to show you my setup. Thank you for watching my first ever video. If you found value in it, if you like what I've done so far, please drop me a like, and maybe hit me up with some comments, some questions. Show me what you guys, tell me what you guys want to see, what you want me to cover.